Welcome to The Revisionary, where we're creating from a fresh perspective.
Hi everyone, we decided to put a electric fireplace in our bedroom, and we got this one off of Amazon. It was about 250 bucks. It's not the exact one, unfortunately. We decided to tape up a piece of paper the same size so we could determine where we were going to put it. Once we finally figured out where we were going to put it, I went out and started making some boxes out of 2x4s to make frame for the mantle, and we were going to inset the fireplace instead of mounting it on the wall, which is an option too. But we wanted a mantle so that we could have decorations for different seasons on that. And Maureen had a lot of different ideas, so we started there and just started placing these boxes in there to figure out the placement of the system. And once we had an idea where we wanted to put it, I double checked the fitment. Never did it before, so I looked at the directions a lot, but it seemed to go pretty easily. It wasn't very difficult at all. Luckily there was electric right behind it, so we didn't have to move any electric.
So in this is that same wall that the last video that we did of the walk-in closet, when we took out the archway and we added wall back in to make it a hallway. This wall was so large that we really needed something, and again, because this room was built onto the house, its electric isn't hooked in, as the heat isn't hooked in as well in this part of the house compared to the rest. So we've always used a standing heater. And so since we had the space, and I've seen those longer fireplaces that are out, I thought it would be a good look for this part in the bedroom. And I also want to either have a bench seat or some kind of chair next to this. We are also deciding how wide the depth of this fireplace. I think we measured that a couple times, yeah?
Yeah, I made it adjustable, so I think we wanted a 12-inch or 11.5-inch mantle, so I made everything fit with I wasn't sure if I was going to go with drywall on the outside, but in the end I decided to go with 3/4 inch sanded plywood, so you couldn't really tell what it was made out of. I got sick of doing drywall, so the plywood was a lot easier to work with. Once we had the depth, I was able to had to bend and twist these 2x4s because they were pretty much scrap. And then the plywood was fairly expensive at this point. I think it was $50 a sheet, but it was worth it. It turned out I could do it in one sheet, so 2x4s were free because they were scrap, like I said, and the plywood, I was able to make the whole front and sides out of one piece. I didn't need a second piece, so I saved that for another project later.
And this was at that point when lumber was
just
really
creeping up. Yeah, it was going up
getting
pretty
expensive.
high. Still is.
So the other thing I like about this fireplace, or the idea to decorate it, was on the outside of the house there was this avocado metal siding that was hideous, and by accident, on purpose, I hit it with the lawnmower so that we would have to take it off. And when we did, there was lathing strips holding it on, and underneath the cedar shake was in great condition, really well.
Yeah,
So I asked Steve to keep the lathing strips for me, and we left them outside in the weather for a good year.
Yeah.
Year or two. So that they would look like barn wood. And I ran them vertically.
Which you'll see in an upcoming. Here I'm actually putting finish screws into the corners. I cut the plywood at 45-degree angles at the corners so that it would look like an end cap of a piece of plywood layer. And I was able to put the set screws in and glue the edges so that it looked like one piece. And then here I'm filling the screw heads for the finished screws with Bondo for wood, and that way we could decide to spray paint this, and that way we wouldn't have any paintbrush strokes on the finished product.
Don't mind the nasty deck. The door is going to be changed to a sliding glass door, and we will be redoing the deck. So we just painted right on the deck because don't care. We're going to be ripping that whole entire thing out, and we'll be moving those trees. Hopefully they'll be able to handle a move.
So the paint we used is bare cabinet paint, and we mixed it, I think, from Kay Scott's suggestion, 3-to-1 with water, because it was water-based, and we were able to use a high velocity or high volume spray gun, and I already had a compressor, so I bought the spray gun online at Amazon, and we practiced with the primer and then gave it a light sand, and Maureen was able to get the skills down for the final coat, and we needed about 4 coats with that.
I think 4 coats. Yeah, this is my first time using a spray gun. I mean, I've done furniture, we've done obviously a lot of furniture. I loved using the gun. It was awesome. So I would definitely
Switch to that.
want to keep doing that as much as possible. And I can still use the Fusion mineral paint that I usually like and water it down so it'll work in the gun.
We did get some bugs in there, but we cleaned it up. And then the backing for the
Above the
mantle, I used a piece of scrap beadboard that I had. I cleaned it up. I had some mold on it, and we got it prepped so we could paint it black. So underneath the lathing strips, it will not show as much in between the gaps. And here we're just covering up the floor. We decided to paint the bedroom completely, except for the trim, because we're going to change that out. But we wanted to make sure we didn't damage the hardwoods. So we covered those up with the thick paper, and then gave it a quick roll, ceiling and walls, and that way we were able to bring the finished fireplace wrap back in afterwards and finish that section up.
And once we saw even it primed, that, if you can see that beige, the whole entire house was painted that color. And so once we put the white on, I was like, oh, I don't want to paint it any color. I want it off white. So I just think we did just a random
just
bare paint.
Bare,
with just a plain white right out of the bright white right out of the can.
Yeah.
So this piece of wood.
It's actually balsa wood, I think.
Yeah, we got it from a place called Pittsburgh Lumber. They have such a huge variety of wood. So
it's not a normal lumber yard. It's got
crazy wood. Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool place to visit. So this is the back side of the beadboard that we painted. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the plywood side.
So, and these are the lathing strips that I got that Steve saved for me. So I started center line and then just kept going back out to the garage to cut the pieces to fit. You're a little bit short, yeah? There we go.
Yeah, I knew I had to put the filler in because of the height of the ceiling, and it needed to be scribed to match up with the angle that the drywall was at.
So this is just, I used a nail gun and I varied the colors. And all the colors that in this wood really blended all the colors in the whole room. The barn doors, the floor, the grays, the gray wood that's in the bathroom. Just this part tied everything together.
The lathing strips were like a 1/4 of an inch, so we didn't want to have to fill any holes or do anything special, so we just used a brad nailer, and the nails just disappeared right into the grain of the wood, so it turned out really nice.
Yeah, and where the knots were in the wood, I actually loved seeing the knot holes open, so the black paint behind it really didn't make a distraction from the wood. I thought it turned out gorgeous. I love this. I love this fireplace. Literally, even in good weather, I go to sleep, we will turn this on at the end of the night, every single night, even if it's warm. And we don't need the heat, just the atmosphere. Those lights that are hanging down, those are Moravian stars. And I had ordered them from Wayfair years ago because we were going to use them in the kitchen. Once the kitchen island was finished and it was a galley kitchen and we opened the wall, I just thought they would be too distracting. I didn't want too much visual going on. So we put them in here in the bedroom, and I love how they look. So I know you won't be able to see it, but those two little metal pieces that are up there are Steve was playing with. What is it?
Plasma cutter.
Plasma cutter, and he did our initials, and it just made me think of somebody carving your person's initials in a tree. So
You coated that balsa wood with the wax, right?
Oh yeah. So this fireplace has orange or blue or a mix of both, and I like the mix of both. It also had glass stone and logs, so you could do one, other, or all. And I liked both. I like the glass stone and I like the wood logs.
The bottom. The only thing I don't like about it is this beeping that it creates for every time you turn on or off. The way to get rid of it as far as I can tell. The temperature also, if you're working with it without the remote, has to go from 0 to 100 and then starts over again when it turns off. So if you can't go backwards, if you want to cool the room down, if it keeps going up, then it's a little bit of a pain. And I think I reduced the sound just so you guys didn't go insane with that beeping while I was showing that.
The remote's a little bit janky too. It's a little bit
really
cheesy.
Remote, so $250 or under is not high quality, super high quality.
But I do love it. So I would have a deer head up here. Steve does not like taxidermied stuff like that. He thinks it's gross. I grew up with my brothers hunting, so I actually don't mind.
You're doing a game room, not in the bedroom.
So that's one way to decorate it. It was more feminine. This is more of an outdoorsy, cabiny feel look to it.
She basically redecorates it every season. So
yeah,
we did a Christmas. She's got a Christmas house.
We had a Christmas village. So I did get to use the deer antler in there anyway. But I love it.
That's the end of that.
So if you want to look at the closet, you can go back and find that last video. But thanks for sharing your time with us. We appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.